So with that, the first poem that's inside of that section, it's not the whole thing, it's fine, right? First section of this poem, it starts where everything starts for me and where everything seems to be ending, and that's with Philadelphia. This poem, let's go move this to the side right fast, and let's just make sure I did turn down the volume. That's good. That's good as well. I'll check that. That's good. All right, back. First poem, starting off with, is called What's Good. What's good? When I think of home, I don't remember much the New Year's pop from cross street chop shop in the middle of April. When I left home, I didn't know that crack vials and sidewalk cracks and weed forests and unkept backyards were unnatural. When I came back home, after being a lone dot in the clean, cold city of tomorrow, I didn't find the wood rot of orphan homes and gap-toothed high streets too surprising, because my murder capital is where petite girls with jangling hair jump double dutch in the middle of a tree-lined street. And summer still hums with full bass and roast meats where fear lives. The loudest sounds I heard were laughter, dark hearts filled with coal-rich soil made of young dead flesh and child's first steps, just as often because in my murder capital, old folks still rest content on a front porch, sleeping in the shade as if Africa wasn't a memory. Philadelphia is all emo with none of the mosh pit. Jazz in a trash bag. Phillies, tumbleweed down 69th Street. Phillies, school kill punch brown and Meek Mill statements as an antidepressant. There's a rust-covered trolley rail used as a balance beam for cast rats. There's a mouse that stands in the middle of your living room, wondering what you staring at. In the center of urine feels comfortable. A crack house and someone pulls out an iPod Touch. Phillies, bulletproof glass protecting blunt wrappers and raisinets. Phillies, 4 empty barbershops and a 2-block radius. Abandoned midnights, even if it's desert, Philly looks like anything but you as intensely as it can. It is a dubstep basement, go home, hot paying and light show for nobody. Philly is a cute cafe, a bored cloister dreamed into existence. Philly's a buck-tooth street with caution tape floss. Philly flosses through Beirut, the hoop. Philly ain't no white car, a new for sale sign. Philly's loose Dutch tobacco in the back of the 23, and Philadelphia is loose money, and it is cheap, and it chirps, and it speaks its first words. It is waiting, it is waiting, it is waiting for you, and the teams choke. And the kids die, and the identically coiffed New Yorkers watch homeless addicts trade smoke outside like it was New Orleans, and the buses wheeze, and the roads are cracked, and it grows and shrinks, screams back door, but don't tell you to step down. That's because Philly doesn't talk to strangers. That's because Philly doesn't speak. A black bum mumbles to himself, an old friend with no money, and an ugly mouth. Myself making coffee in an old French press in my box with no windows today. A metallic roar bleeds through an NPR podcast as Francisville's last crack house devolves into Bucktooth Gap by the dinosaur machines. 5221's sheetrock container is approaching the makings of a good flip. A month back, it was all breeze, Section 8 cheese doodle bags and weeds sprawl and unknown genius, flips a third of the block now. A few cheap white students, me. Everybody else looks like my aunt. Thick, unisex, runner leggings, alien pink revolve each morning under new money, walking under no loitering signs is the first sign. Block family that look like my family but are not my family asked if I know what happened to Ray Ray from 100 blocks down the other night. Etch a sketch of our heads twisting. Every passing here a private news. Walking towards where I work remotely, Mr. Frank in 38 Waves, rooted in a uniform of black hoodie fabric, Heather Eagle Scully in Tim boots. Brown like a sag on his broken clown grin. He always speaks even when he don't talk. Spreads wide on the stoop, swaying like a thin spike of wheat. On the block, he's my best friend. His eyes find mine still wandering for a place for my bougie ass to land. Varying masonry, iron gates in his chest. My own new joggers chafing in the memory of swimming in double XL shirts. And he tells me, we gonna die forever, Big Warren. He says, Big Warren, we ain't shit. Autoimmune 1. Eventually, they strapped electrodes to the head of my father. It's an evolving treatment, leash. Steroid mood edged towards the stomach pump, blossoming like a plastic colander. So insert your joke. Again, the nurse notes him, eye contact wandering as being the Black father, as in being the myth, hovering above the bed's edge. Yeah, but I bet he was useless at home. Yeah, but I bet he never learned how to cook. No one talks. Some polite half laughs from somebody family. He's knocked out anyway. We are a long-suffering people. He must have touched someone sometime. That's just the odds, son. You see one more mirror you can't read the meaning of. You better pray to whatever loves you the hardest and run. Untitled. I am the monster the moment you say I am. Shoot me in my open mouth as soon as the dark in your head shows its teeth. I will wait for you forever, yelling proud in the middle of the street, so tired and in love, begging for one mistake unremarkable and human at last. Autoimmune 2. My father is fine, says my father's raisioning chest, sucking child's straw of his lungs, a speech slurring the quicklime particulates that constructed my life. The first comment in the poetry workshop said, the character seems self-destructively weak. True story. I asked if he's getting out, and he yas the come on a man says that isn't sexy, the one that retroflexes back into the throat, a baseball of unexpelled breath. He is breathing into the terrarium walls of the home he helped build. Steroid bloat makes the mind sick. It's 2 weeks after the suicide attempt. The last comment insisted how my parents must have been so strict. Untitled. A lack of love perverts things, shrivels all that was moist cakey into a corpse. The worst, the ghost, the hard laughter that weapons the back of the bus. Toothy smile that doubles as a bear trap. My father doesn't exist. Kindness wrapped in mail smells like somebody's uncle. Lock your doors, hide your kids, hide your wife, your legs, your husbands, and mirrors, because the demon stares back every time I forget who's looking. Autoimmune 3.
My last serious asthma attack. The 40-year-old Philly Italian nurse calling me a wimp as I heaved tight in my slipping half naked 3 a.m. at night. The albuterol coursing seized limbs, fetal bud of my porn torso, so small now. Familiar strangeness of a stranger's joy at a good black humbling, the joke of my hyperventilation writing itself, untitled. Boyfriend called a cool tool at the cafe. It's a joke, as in tool, he's okay. Praise of a passive man as very pliant to being punched in the face in the good comedy lobby. You have to understand, this man was just so sweet. I mean, I could kick his ass. I could beat the shit out of this man and he would apologize to me. Just such a sweet, docile little man, you know, staring me in the eye. And it is a fine afternoon to be a black man standing in the doorway. Girlfriend jokes about if myself, my cousin, and all men are actually human, should have been the first guess. Next partner expresses surprise that I like men as a rule. I ask, why wouldn't I like black people? Everyone asks if I cheated on her yet on the street as a joke, in my danger as a voice. Anytime it has to justify a no, they laugh at the writers' conference of brown poets liking black men as a thing to wear, more metaphors about black men as a thing to kill. One told me it didn't happen. They said I deserved it because my spine was a threatening thing. She answered, see what happens if you call the police. The violent mask. My lover tells me they ache for it every time the God in their breast takes the form of a dad, puts my hand on their throat. Autoimmune 5. My YouTube says I don't love so much as I fail at fucking. My favorite purpose is making someone that looks at me like a golden mutt die of pleasure. This poem is not about you and it will never be enough. I've always loved the slot of my hip bone. My pediatrician's bob cut looked thin and recently died against her pulled pale neck. I have an allergic reaction to a new woman skimming the line where my pubic hair begins since the 4th grade. My pure-hearted folks love me clean, Christ-like and young. My black cock crows when you wake up or I hate you. I don't come on the first date. My girlfriend's favorite rape fantasy took place near my diabetic aunt's old haunt. My first blowjob was a demon being pulled from my dried skin. My molester's eyes asked me to calm down with the wordless mercy of a good cop. I was never so aware I was smooth to the touch. I am a sexy power until it occurs to the family that is not family I might exist as a need. Then I'm a rough shadow pretending to talk. My black abdomen is a Pornhub full of light. I always held my breath when she led my mom towards the doorway. I started programming at about the same time that I started doing poetry. So it was around 12, 13. I was only playing around with poetry at that point. I was taking it more seriously later. Programming, immediately, I just glommed onto and I do think that both of them served a very similar purpose for me though. And that was, they were a way and a space for me to create an entirely new world detached from this world. When you're programming, you're really starting out in this abstracted space, completely empty, that contains nothing. And from within that blankness, you're given the tools, these fundamental ideas that, there's different philosophies out there, but they are so deep. You're given a 1 and a 0, the idea that something exists or does not exist. And from there,
no one is the whole,
every less, every number,
or
for any length.
The space where one can or
You
should.
are given a means to compare.
Of course,
numbers
because
together. And
build or
make a
empty
choice
at a time
to what you want to do.
Okay.
What you want to run.
There must
you
be
can put a value inside a box.
I will call this one an A
for anything.
And this one
it is such a beautiful and powerful.
And these 5 are vowels, says this.
An ideal.
Says there's a space
like all ideals. The world
Please.
always finds a way to impose itself eventually.
Parse a word called spring.
This is
open source. In every computer class I have ever taught, there's at least one mind found waiting since birth for a blank space to construct the laws of physics from scratch from. How you can build anything in a story is how you can build anything in a recipe if the language is what the every greedy silicon reads. Every letter is a number that sums from a handful of ones. It is a small vocabulary. The chips that sit cross-legged on the tips of our monitors, waiting to flip all the switches your process requests, is a free download. The spread of minions thoughtlessly painting the world. For example, you can define as a function something called sprint. Right? So to sprint, a given object is to give hard and then hope for some back in output, a gist of a burning push for an hour or maybe a mile, an inch. It's variable, friend, how much, honestly, as so many functions are varying in their velocity. A glitch on a mutating gene. Sprint to the new morning and you get a surefire way to days foggy and friction-headed on Tuesday. Sprint the night and it's a morning away in your tent of a bed and some Zoloft ambition. Sprint a nectarine at 3 a.m. and at least there's a spritz in the air that feels sharp with zest. You can program the inside of a self and sort memories by frequency. You can find a split in an emotional state and store it with a pencil, a finite dictionary of terms between 2 lovers, and pick a solution. Make it the blue of new Play-Doh, make it the tolerance of my lap, non-stick, matte finish, make it blue cloud white and money green as a start, measure it twice, take 3,000 units, do it with love. I mean, you can do anything, really. Pick a floor, and time, and walls around that floor, and time to make a floor worth looking up to. Give it an hour to find wood, and a lifetime of time to learn the right kind of wood that is kindling. There's just a book of it. I mean, or in a library, shoot, you have a mainframe on your wrist now. Just give it a phone, and time, and a YouTube video. You can solve it, and give it hands, and give it eyes, and give it ears. You can science a sign, you can Lego ride, and Plato more, and give it enough time. Thumbs are obvious, and the lakes form, and flowering trees apply agriculture. If you just dig up one thing smaller than you, then you can eat great, you can eat well. I mean, given freedom, and given clothes that speak right, and time, and some kind of drive, like a very large truck or a Zuckerberg. You know, his new over-the-counter algorithm is perfect for this, given some guts, just some guts worth trying up and stretching out, and jumping rope with, and some side project, and a 72-hour day, or 2, and money. You should know money, but money isn't money just time well spent, and the people you spend it with, and the time you spend with them. I mean, look, Look, listen, all you have to understand is that you can go and grow and God, good as any if you want to. I mean, you can CEO tomorrow if you would just wait a bit and check your answer again and memorize and keep your back straight and concentrate and be reasonable. I mean, it worked for him, didn't it? Didn't it? And who is he? This is the last time, I swear. This is the last poem that I wrote and the last official programming job I ever had. At Vertex, we call one browser tab worth of inputs a scene. Each scene is collected into CRUD functions representing a creation, reading, updating, or deletion of a resource, of which there are almost 50 max. My resource at Vertex was the taxpayer. A taxpayer was an entry type, a start and indeterminate end date, and a reason code. My HP laptop clicks into half cubes with a heavy plastic switch reminiscent of classic ThinkPad every morning, 2 monitors on articulated arms. One in landscape shows the scene where my client edits the taxpayer, applies a discount code, verifies their taxability, identifies multiple jurisdictions of possible equivalent levy items rendered in scrolling blue combo box after they're fetched from our backend team's API. The local imposition tax of some native tribe is a reservation is a district in Arizona. I don't know what I'm supposed to know. I just know in code, my second monitor is in portrait mode. Red warning text says I need another space after line 305's colon. The taxpayer logs the object inside, and the object we are defining is unique when tagged with a $sign. Our Fuda app lunch program says American Halal is serving us today. The day I left, slouched, eating lamb and drowning in white, while CNN captions what is breaking outside. The Tuesday I finally gave up. Mrs. Mary's bony shoulder tints a faded tee and rosary beads. Waves slow. My head cranes soft, turning mid-asphalt on the perch of my corner porch. Oh, still uncolonized street. Her grandbabies bounce unhurried and teetering. I weave on a single gear towards the park, and the mass readers crowd in distant pairs, and someone in a bowl of grass to the south might fly a kite. I've seen it once on a walk. I'm teaching online now full time to a gaggle of Midwestern adults. Since the start of class, 3 funerals and 2 babies born. I shout if I'm clear through Bluetooth buds, and a gallery of faces blink on and raise their thumbs. I play Afrobeats between lecture notes. I play drums. Today, I didn't think about my ex. Being single doesn't kill you, and the sun doesn't know anything. There's still whiskey to kill. A friend I cry over, I'm so thankful, posted a square composition of sidewalk on Instagram 3 minutes ago. Asymmetric, intrinsic, and God as any idle, untamable weed. This is the second gayest poem in the book. It's called Bihood. Pressing chunks of scab onto toy microscope slides is a kind of sexuality. Lust as in a body. What can a body do? My body is the only skin it is safe for me to touch.
Don't look with lust, cause wanting in your heart is when the innocence flakes off your frame in chunks. Instead, look at yourself. My body evolved into a trigger that springs back funny. I noticed too early and it became a symbol and then a scary way to measure time. If you see me wilt avocado green and it looks nice, there's a point you can push where a switch flips soft, milky gray. Leading is nice, but loose drool on a warm baby cheek is a sweet place for a Black boy to sleep. The dream where I'm a house mouse blessed with a stockpile of toasted crumbs nooked behind a small crown molding. Plump rodent, pet twitch, clever nuisance, nuiseless, and too cute for any evil consequence for approaching a stranger and saying yes. Bitter offerings. This is all of it. And here's to the disastrous news and the grace in each arc of decay. An ejaculate of oil burps from a crack in the earth. Some laughter pierces a distant uncle's funeral, harsh and young. Your boyish spectrum blossoms through jean skirts back when my toy microscope was stacked with grass, scabs, and boogie slides. Later, I ate from a witch's hand an offering of wicked brand beer and acorn meat. Despite hollowed gates opening, windows always tempted a jump. And then last weekend, I watched you watch my back pickle, and memories of bodies somersaulting slowed and enjoyed their descent. And all this mess, scuffed feet stains overrunning my bathtub, a toothpaste patch on the lip of your sink calcifies into a dinosaur. A humid funk settles on our neck at 1 a.m, so we play 20 questions into the black. And it's an object the size of your face. And it's a place that no longer exists. A list of bugs we made you were scared of. A mudslide with us there, gasping into each other one last time. I started program. I did not realize that was my key. So much for being here. That was much easier than I thought it would be. Thank you. Wow. Yeah. One more poem for y'all before we leave. This poem is I've always liked to be able to do other people's work. Like especially when you're performing, because I mean, so much power in just like letting somebody else's words live through you. And as much as us poets can be inside of ourselves, it is always important to be able to pay homage and to see where it is that our work grows from. So this is a poem by Bob Kaufman. Yeah. And it's the night. It's a combination of two poems, but start of it is the night that Lorca comes. We're gonna. The night that Lorca comes shall be a strange night in the South. This shall be a time when the Negroes leave the South forever. Green trains shall arrive from red planet Mars. Crackling blueness shall send tooth-covered cars for them to leave. To go into the North forever. And
I will see my little girl's mother again, with a cross that is not burning, with a shirt of black of all colors. And the South shall weep bitter tears to no avail, for the Negroes have gone into the crackling blueness. So this night, all those ships that never sailed, the ones with their sea cocks open and that was scuttled in their stalls, this night, bring them back, huge and intransitory. Let them sail forever. All those flowers you never grew, the ones you wanted to grow, the ones that were stuck under the ground in the mud, tonight, we will bring them back, and you will grow them forever. And we will awake on piano buttons, stitched on morning lights. Your body, once a museum of betrayal, will be covered in beauty. The dancing queens will move down streets paved with opal sadness, and I will meet you counterclockwise beneath pockets of joy and the jazz that lasts forever. Jonathan, all the time, please. Have fun. Come on. And of course, the man, Scott Sigel on keys. Give a little something, Scott. Come on. And I am on Longmire. Thank y'all so much. All right, so that was the whole thing. Hey, Ryan.